Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? When I take the subway to go to work, I love watching people reading, especially paper copies of books, as I can find out what they're reading. Recently, I saw a man, and he had Think and Grow Rich in his hands by Napoleon Hill. This book was published in 1937 and it's still relevant today. I believe I read that some years ago. Another day, I saw somebody reading with an e-reader. Now I can't tell you what it was. Obviously, that's why I don't like it when people have e-readers. I cannot find out. But one thing I very rarely see on the bus or on the subway is a person reading a magazine. At least not a paper copy. That's for sure. Many people look at their phones, as you can imagine, but mostly I would say people don't seem to be reading on their phones very much. They might be watching things, scrolling through social media, and so on. So I think we all know that the number of magazines has dwindled in the last few years and even in the last decade, if I can say that. But does that mean that they are no longer relevant? Well, about 10 years ago, I was a subscriber to Time magazine. And so every week I got a paper copy of the red bordered magazine in my mailbox. It was a lot of reading once a week, right? Today, I still receive magazines, paper copies of magazines, but it's monthly that I get them. And I still get the paper copy because I still enjoy that. But I have to admit to you that I'm not as interested in reading magazines as I used to be. That being said, I still think that there are benefits to reading them, and I'd like to share three of them with you. I was going through some of the magazines I have uh, in my pile uh, at home, and as I was going through the pile, I was remembering why I enjoy magazines. So um, first reason why I think that magazines are still interesting. So they actually can their goal is to inform you on a certain subject or topic, and that can actually be very useful. So many of you out there must know that I've been involved in an organization called Rotary International. I've been part of a Rotary Club for almost 25 years. And every month I get a copy of the Rotary magazine. And I have to tell you, this is a magazine that I've been getting in my mailbox for, well, almost 25 years. It's evolved through, the time. And I have to be very honest. I've kept quite a few copies. I think it's a very well written magazine. Actually, it wins prizes all the time, and it's got really interesting articles of different lengths on different topics that are either linked to Rotary or to something that could interest Rotarians, right? So anything from a club project, maybe helping literacy in a certain country, or it could be even, articles on leadership. And there's even sometimes articles on, books that might be interesting to people. There are some really nice photos. There's actually a photo contest every year that I really like to look at. I love taking photos myself. I've never participated in the contest, but looking at those photos, some people are really good at doing it. And obviously, because Rotary is a group of people who want to make a difference in their local and international communities, there are a lot of events that are promoted or discussed in the magazine. And there are articles about the event. So, for example, the upcoming international convention, which is a gathering of Rotarians from around the world, is going to take place in Melbourne, Australia, in May of 2023. So there's been articles on that, and it's kind of a way to travel without having to really travel. As much as I would love to go to Melbourne and all over Australia, it's not going to be happening right now. So it's actually super interesting to read about that. So love the magazine format because you can learn a lot about a certain topic. Second reason that I think magazines are still relevant or still useful is that the texts that you find in magazines are often short, so it's faster to read a magazine than reading a book, and you don't have to read from cover to cover, right? If you pick up a novel, right? Currently, I'm reading the um, the book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, that I mentioned in previous episodes. And it's a novel, it's a story. So I want to start at the beginning and get to the end because I want to know, what happens with all the seven husbands. But when I read a magazine, I can just, what I like to do is I like to start at the end. Just to start at the end, read a page here, 2 pages there. So that gives you some kind of a flexibility, right? And also to pick and choose which article you want. Many of you out there may remember that Oprah had a magazine called the Oprah magazine, which used to be a monthly magazine, but it's now a quarterly. So it had to change. Some magazines had to evolve and change. It's got some articles, for example, on well-being, on beauty, on there's some book reviews in there, right? Because you know that Oprah loves to read. I talked about celebrity book clubs in the previous episode. It's kind of a fast way to get informed on some topic. And recently, I bought a magazine on menopause. Yes, I will admit it. I'm not there yet, but I'm going towards that. And I thought it was it's actually a really nice kind of thick. Kind of special issue that I'm going to keep it, and it's got all kinds of advice on what are some things that women can do to alleviate some of the symptoms. And I actually found I think it was a 2-page spread on books that talk about the topic. So the magazine actually can get you to go beyond what you're reading there. So, and finally, the third reason is I think that magazines, well, like books, they come in many formats, so they are easily accessible. Not only now do you have print and online, you can sometimes either choose one or the other format or both. I believe it was Newsweek magazine that stopped publishing in paper and is only online now. And when we think of an online magazine, well, there are things that you can do online that you can't do on paper, such as having video or audio. There are articles that are sometimes featured online that are not on paper or vice versa. I was just on the website for the Oprah magazine. I guess it's oprah.com. I'll put the link there. And it was a link to 30 of the best books by Black authors you should read in your lifetime. And I thought, I need to read that, need to check that list. But you can see a trend here, right? So I'm using kind of magazines to find out about books, right? Which is really my passion, as you know. In that list that I just shared with you from the O magazine, there's the book called Finding Me by Viola Davis, who is an actress. It's a memoir, and it's definitely on my TBR pile because I love memoirs. And I do enjoy a good celebrity memoir. I talked about that in a previous episode. You just have to go and check it out yourself. To wrap up, I just want to talk about a magazine I discovered, which I guess doesn't happen too much anymore. Last summer, I was in Florida, and I went to a bookstore because I do that, as you can imagine. And I came across this magazine called Book Page. It is a magazine about, you guessed it, books, right? It says discover your next great book. And the issue I have here is August 2022. And inside, so I brought a copy of the magazine and I read it by the pool. It was actually quite nice. And inside, I found out about all kinds of books that I was going to be able to put my hands on later, such as on page 10, there's a text on our most anticipated books of fall 2022, including A Scatter of Light, which is the most recent book by Melinda Lowe, right? Author of Last Night at the Telegraph Club, mentioned in previous episodes. There's a little interview here with Taylor Jenkins Reid, author of Carrie Soto is Back and the book I'm reading, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six. And I believe that this interview is you can actually find it on the website for that magazine, and there's like a longer version of it. So it allows you to, the online version allows you to expand. So listen, I think that there's still space for magazines. They had to evolve, and they're hopefully going to continue evolving. But I think that for sure we can learn a lot still today from them, and find out about perhaps our next read. So that, to me, is always good. Take care of yourselves. Keep on turning those pages, and I'll see you next time. Please share.